Hello everyone and welcome. We are going to have a very quick review, overview, and quick setup guide on one of these cheap HDMI video capture devices that you can find on Amazon. So full disclosure, for streaming, I generally use my Elgato HD60S. However, I've had a lot of friends ask me what I would recommend for a video capture device, and the Elgato devices are cost prohibitive. They're a little bit expensive, not really the best option for someone who's starting out streaming. I've seen these cheap devices pop up on Amazon, and I figured for the price, might as well give it a shot. So I picked up this one in particular. It cost me $26 Canadian. This is the 1080p 30 FPS version. It comes in a second flavor. It says 1080p 60 FPS. If we have a look at the reviews, though, people who've bought both haven't found any major differences between them. They don't seem to change the quality. They change the frames per second. And I know when I add this as a source in OBS, it recognizes it as 1080p 60 FPS. Take from that what you will, but it seems to work okay for me. Now, I would highly recommend this device, just right off the bat, highly recommend it for someone who's into casual streaming, someone who's looking to share a bit of their Nintendo Switch gameplay or Xbox or PlayStation gameplay to friends, or just getting into streaming on Twitch or YouTube or whatever streaming service. Definitely something that I would recommend picking up. If you're into more competitive gameplay stuff, I'd recommend this, but with some specific additions as well. This alone is not what I would recommend because there's very slight input lag. It's nothing major, but for games that require really precise timing, this is not going to be the best option for you. Now let's have a look at this device a little bit. We've got a USB output, plugs into your computer, and an HDMI input, which goes to your gaming console. This particular one comes with a USB extension cable. As we can see, the USB side is a little bit chunky, so this helps separate it from other USB ports on your motherboard. One thing you'll notice that differs between this and, say, an Elgato is this does not have an HDMI output. So you can't have HDMI going to an external display being used as a pass-through like an Elgato does. One way around this is to use something like this HDMI switch, or not switch, splitter. I own this one in particular. It works really, really well. And I mentioned that input lag. If you're using something like this, it removes that input lag if you're using an external display. So what you could have is HDMI going from your video game console into the HDMI input, and then one output going to the HDMI capture device, and another output going to an external display. If you're looking to cheaply get into competitive games, this is the option that I would recommend for that. This is $25. This capture is $26. You're still well ahead of pricing if you're comparing this to something like an Elgato. Let's have a quick look at the setup. So I'm using Streamlabs OBS right now. Your software might be a little bit different if you're using vanilla OBS or Stream Elements, but hopefully the basics are the same. We're just in a new scene here. I'm going to add a new source, and this will be a video capture device. Click on Add Source, add a new source, and we need to give it a name. I'm just going to call it something like HDMI Switch, as we'll be capturing our Nintendo Switch, and video. When I click on Add Source, it's going to pop up a window asking me what I want to add. This will be the USB video. That's what this device is. When I click on this, it's going to make my Switch full screen. So I'm just going to click on it. There's our Switch. I'm just going to make this screen a little bit smaller, throw it down in the corner just so that we can see that it's displayed there. Going to open up the properties for this again just to show that the resolution, it defaults to 1080p. The FPS is match output FPS. If we go to custom, we can set that to 1080p, 60 FPS right in here. I'm just going to click on done on that. Now our video is displayed, but we don't have any audio. We need to add the audio separately. So we're going to add a new source, audio input capture, and we'll add a new source. We'll call that HDMI switch audio. The device we want to add is the USB digital audio, or at least it is over on my end. We now have HDMI switch audio over in our mixer. I'm just going to turn down the volume on that just so that we don't get overpowered by the audio. We won't be able to hear this quite yet though. What we need to do is we need to add a monitor to that so that it displays, or it outputs the sound to our headset. So I'm going to open the advanced audio settings. And here's our HDMI switch audio. Now you'll note that in my mixer I have desktop audio. This is what I use to output audio to the world on any of my streams. If I'm more selective about my audio outputs, we would have this muted and we could switch the HDMI switch audio to monitor and output. But because we're already outputting to our stream using desktop audio, we want to set this to monitor only, mute output. If we were to output this source as well, so if we had this as monitor and output, it would create a weird echo, and we do not want that. So we'll set that to monitor only, mute output, and then I can close that off. And we have Mario down here in the corner. It's a very, very small window though. How can we make that bigger? Well, I'm actually going to set my middle monitor to be near the top as far as our sources go so that it displays over top of everything. What we can then do to make our switch or whatever we're capturing full screen, we can right click on it and create source projector. And what this does is it takes whatever window we have and it will make it full screen. You can see my 3 monitors are displayed here. Once I click on full screen display 1, it's going to display my switch in full screen. And we can have a quick look, see what this looks like, and we can test what the audio sounds like, what the input lag is like. So I'm just going to start on Super Mario Brothers here. So as you can see, very good, nothing too crazy here. Works as you would expect something like this. Again, the input lag is very, very minor. For games like this, it's not that big of a deal. If you like playing Animal Crossing or Stardew Valley or anything like that, this is going to be more than adequate. So let's just quickly see. Still got it. Alright, nice and easy. We want to quit out of this. All we have to do is hit escape, and it brings us right back here where we have all of this. Again, the input lag is very, very minor. If you want to get rid of it, look into something like this HDMI splitter. But at the end of the day, I highly, highly recommend this capture device for anyone who's looking for a cheap way to get into streaming from their consoles, whether it's your Switch or PlayStation or Xbox. This is definitely something that I would recommend. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comments below, and I hope you have a wonderful day.